All right, ready to get a little philosophical today. We're going deep on wisdom and integrity.
Two big concepts.
Yeah, kind of intimidating, right? But we're going to break them down, see how they relate to aging, what they really mean over a lifetime.
And for this, we've got some amazing guides. Eric and Joan Erikson.
You know, the folks who pretty much wrote the book on human development.
Several books, actually.
But today we're focusing on the life cycle completed.
Right, where things get really interesting. They even talk about a possible ninth stage of life.
Ninth stage, hold on. I get childhood, adulthood, all that, but 9.
Yeah, the Eriksons were way ahead of their time. They saw people living longer and having these experiences that didn't fit the usual 8 stages.
Makes sense. So Joan Erikson added this 9th stage, especially for those late 80s, 90s folks.
Exactly.
But before we go 9th stage, let's back up. What did they even say about wisdom and integrity? Because wasn't it Shakespeare who called old age, like second childishness, total oblivion?
Yeah, Shakespeare was pretty gloomy about aging.
Not exactly a pep talk, huh?
But the Eriksons, they flipped the script. No more stereotypes of grumpy old folks, frail grandmas. They wanted to go deeper.
So they went full-on etymology.
Yeah.
Dictionary deep.
Totally. Dug into the roots of the words. Wisdom, for example, they trace back to the Sanskrit Veda, meaning to see, to know.
So not just how much you know, but how you see things.
Exactly, like that aha moment, suddenly understanding something differently.
Oh, I see. Wait, does even our slang show this old idea of wisdom as seeing?
You got it. It's connecting the dots, making sense of things based on what you've lived and learned.
That's cool. And integrity always seems stiff to me, like some moral rule book.
Interesting. The Eriksons linked integrity to tact, being engaged with the world, other people.
So not being isolated off on your own.
Right. It's about interacting, creating, responding to what's real.
Okay, that's way more active, more interesting than just being good.
It's how you show up, even as you age, face new limits.
Which brings this right to our lives, doesn't it?
Mm.
How we want to age, what kind of wisdom and integrity we build.
Exactly. It's not adding years to life, but life to years, you know?
I'm liking where this is going.
And that's where this 9th stage comes in. It's not just extended old age, it's a whole new phase.
Okay, color me intrigued. What's this 9th stage actually like, according to them?
Well, Joan Erikson noticed something fascinating. People in that 9th stage often re-experience earlier stages, but with a new lens.
Re-experience, like going back in time.
Kind of. She noticed those old challenges, like wanting independence, fearing shame. They can pop up again late in life.
But this time, you've got a lifetime of experience behind you.
Exactly. It's hitting rewind, but with a totally different soundtrack.
I like that analogy. So not reliving, but re-examining with wiser eyes.
You got it. And that can be tough, but also super freeing. Making peace with the past, forgiving yourself, others, understanding who you are, how you got here.
So even in the later years, there's still growth, change.
Absolutely. And that leads us to another cool concept, gerotranscendence.
Whoa, new word alert. Break that down for me.
Gerotranscendence is the shift in perspective that can happen as we age. It's caring less about material stuff, and your sense of self, connection to others expands.
Like rising above the daily worries that used to take up so much space.
Kind of, yeah. And Joan Erikson, she actually tweaked this to transcendence, emphasizing it's active, it's in your body, not just your mind.
So not passively accepting decline, but finding new ways to be in the world.
Exactly. And here's where her background as a dancer and artist comes in. She used this beautiful image of climbing a mountain in old age.
Ooh, I like that.
It's tough, sure, but the view from up there, breathtaking.
I love that. Aging has its hard parts, but there's also huge potential for growth, perspective, even transcendence.
Exactly. And we're just scratching the surface here. There's so much more to unpack about this 9th stage and what it means for how we live.
Okay, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this 9th stage, what it actually feels like to be living it.
You're in for some fascinating insights. Joan Erikson's observations are full of surprises.
So transcendence, this whole shift in perspective, embracing life fully, even the tough parts. But it almost sounds too, I don't know, mystical. Like only for super spiritual people.
Great question. Joan Erikson was very clear. Transcendence isn't about escaping reality or pretending aging is easy. It's more about how you face those challenges, finding meaning, connection, even as things change.
So not ignoring the hard stuff.
Nope. She actually talks a lot about acknowledging the tough stuff, being vulnerable, experiencing loss. That's where you find resilience, strength.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But how does transcendence actually look in real life? What are we talking about here?
Well, think about how our society values youth, being productive, achieving things.
Oh, yeah, guilty as charged. Always chasing that next goal.
Right, but transcendence suggests different values. It's
Yeah.
letting go of that striving, being content in the moment, the simple things, connecting with others.
You know, it reminds me of what Joan Erikson wrote about people in nursing homes.
Hmm.
They need more than just basic care, right? Touch, connection, feeling seen as individuals.
Exactly. She saw that even in later life, with frailty, cognitive decline, there's still that human need to interact for love, meaning.
And she saw transcendence as possible, even within those limitations.
Absolutely. She emphasized touch, using our hands not just for tasks, but for comfort, communication,
Mm.
reaffirming that human connection, even in tough environments.
That's powerful. No matter your situation, age, abilities, there's still potential for growth. Meaning,
Exactly. And she even says this potential isn't just for older folks. We can cultivate it at any age.
so how do we do that? Cultivate transcendence in our own lives.
For Joan Erikson, it was tied to her background as a dancer, an artist. Creativity, playfulness, experimenting, those are key.
So not just sitting around contemplating the universe.
Not necessarily. Finding joy in simple things, beauty in everyday moments, letting go of control, just allowing yourself to be.
I like that. Sounds more relaxed, maybe even more joyful.
It can be. And recognizing that those vulnerable moments, feeling lost, uncertain, they can be chances to grow, gain insight. Like Leonard Cohen said, that's how the light gets in, through the cracks.
Okay, feeling a little more zen over here already. But if transcendence is letting go of striving, achievement, does that mean we just give up on goals completely?
Not quite. It's a shift in focus. Instead of chasing the next big thing, you find satisfaction in the journey, learning, growing.
So not abandoning ambition, but redefining what success looks like.
Exactly. And that can be really freeing. You do what you're truly passionate about, no pressure from outside expectations.
Maybe even enjoy the ride a little more.
Absolutely. And this brings us back to the Eriksons' work as a whole. They wanted to challenge those limited, often negative views of aging, show that there's so much more to it.
So aging isn't just decline, loss, but also growth, transformation.
Precisely. Transcendence is just one part. They also emphasized wisdom, integrity, staying engaged with the world even if things change.
Okay, but letting go is still tough for me. Easy to say. But how do you do it in a world that's constantly pushing us to strive, achieve?
Joan Erikson had interesting thoughts on that, especially about material possessions, the things we cling to.
Like that closet full of clothes I never wear.
Maybe. She talked about lightening our load as we age, literally and figuratively.
So not just clutter, but also outdated beliefs, grudges, that kind of baggage.
Exactly. Creating space for new experiences, perspectives, ways of being, it can be powerful, especially as we get older.
I see how it all connects now. But if someone's really struggling with aging, how do they actually tap into this transcendence?
Joan Erikson didn't have a step-by-step guide, but she offered some valuable insights.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Staying active physically and mentally. Even walks, gardening, creative stuff can make a huge difference.
So not becoming an Olympian or master artist, just staying involved with life.
Exactly. Find what brings you joy, challenges you in a good way, helps you connect with the world.
It's like she's saying transcendence isn't something you achieve, but something you build through daily choices, actions.
Precisely. And notice those moments of beauty, connection, even amidst difficulty.
Okay, getting it.
Yeah.
But this whole concept, it's pretty complex, nuanced, not something you just sum up easily.
You're right. And that's what makes it so interesting. No one size fits all, but a way of approaching life that you adapt to your own needs.
So less about a specific answer, more about asking the right questions.
Exactly. What truly matters? What brings you joy? How can you keep growing, evolving as you age?
This is a conversation we should be having way earlier in life, not just when we're facing old age.
I agree. It's about reframing aging itself. Not an endpoint, but a constant process of learning, adapting, finding new meaning.
So instead of fearing old age, we see it as a time of potential deeper understanding, even liberation.
Exactly. That's a message that's both hopeful and empowering.
All right, so transcendence, creativity, staying engaged. But what about those big questions of life and death? Did the Eriksons go there?
They did. And that's where Joan Erikson's version of transcendence gets even deeper. It's not just how you relate to the world, but also understanding your own mortality.
So not just living well, but preparing for a good death.
In a way, yes. She talked about embracing death as natural, a final creation, a return to the source.
That's pretty radical considering how much we avoid talking about death.
It is. And she knew it's not always easy to face. But she believed that by confronting those fears, we find deeper peace. acceptance.
So integrating death into life, not seeing it as separate, scary.
Exactly. And she even said this acceptance of death can be a source of strength, wisdom later in life.
Okay, now my mind's really spinning. Makes sense, but it's a huge shift in thinking.
It is. And she emphasized it's okay to struggle with it. But by confronting those fears, we gain deeper peace and acceptance.
It's like we're so busy avoiding thoughts of death, we miss out on truly living right now.
Exactly. And she believed that accepting death can actually make you stronger, wiser in those later years. You let go of what's not important and focus on what truly matters.
So it's not denying death, but weaving it into our understanding of life.
Precisely. And that can be incredibly freeing. You live more authentically, savor each moment, appreciate life's preciousness.
What's hitting me is that transcendence isn't some far-off goal, but something you build through daily choices, actions.
That's the beauty of it. It's for everyone, no matter your age, background, abilities.
It's shifting your perspective, noticing the little things, embracing the whole human experience, finding joy in the journey.
You got it. And I think that's a powerful message. Aging isn't just decline and loss, but also growth, transformation, and the chance for transcendence.
It's embracing life's messy, beautiful complexity, finding meaning, connection, even as things change.
Exactly. And that's worth celebrating no matter where we are in life.
Okay, so much to think about after that last part. We talked about transcendence as this shift in how we see things, this embracing of all of life, even the hard parts. But I keep coming back to Joan Erikson being an artist. Did that shape how she saw aging?
Oh, definitely. It's a big key to her work. She actually saw aging itself as a creative act, like a dance with life.
A dance. So it's not just slowing down, accepting limits, but finding new ways to move, express yourself, even as your body changes.
That's it. She talked about how even with declining senses, like eyesight or hearing, elders can still find ways to connect, create, experience joy. It's about adapting, finding workarounds, not letting those limits define you.
It's like those artists who keep creating amazing work, even in their 80s, 90s, finding new ways to express themselves as their bodies change.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond art, too. Think about people who find new passions after retiring. Gardening, volunteering, traveling the world. They're still dancing with life, just with new rhythms.
Which ties back to what we were saying before, staying active, engaged, not denying aging, but participating fully, even as things shift.
Exactly. And Joan Erikson really believed in the power of touch, not just for comfort, but for communication, connection.
Yeah, she talked about how important touch is for older folks, especially in nursing homes where they might not have much physical contact.
Right. She saw it as a way to reaffirm that human bond, reminding people they're still seen, valued, even in later life.
Makes me think about how we often rush interactions, especially with older people.
Mm.
So focused on tasks, we forget to slow down, make eye contact, offer a kind touch.
And those small things can be so powerful. It's acknowledging the person, no matter their age or abilities.
This is making me rethink how I interact with everyone, not just older people, being more present, mindful in everyday moments.
And that mindfulness, that's a big part of transcendence, too. Noticing the beauty, the wonder around us, even in simple things.
All this talk of transcendence, letting go, it can feel a bit daunting. Where do you even start?
Well, Joan Erikson didn't give us step-by-step, but she emphasized starting small. Gradual shifts in how we see things, how we act, not huge changes overnight.
So what are some things people can do to cultivate this transcendence?
She was all about finding activities that bring you joy. Nature, music, being with loved ones, whatever it is.
Not finding some big purpose, but paying attention to what sparks joy, wonder.
Exactly. And letting go of needing to control everything, to be perfect. Embrace the imperfections, the messiness.
That makes me think about how we try to protect older people from hard emotions like sadness, grief. Maybe it's good to acknowledge those feelings, let them be expressed.
Absolutely. Embracing the whole human experience, not just the good parts. And this is where Joan Erikson's take on transcendence gets even deeper. It includes not just how we relate to the world, but how we understand our own mortality.
So not just living well, but also preparing for a good death.
In a way, yeah. She talked about embracing death as natural, a final creation, returning to the source.
Okay, now my mind is doing flips. It makes sense, but it's a big shift in how we usually think, right?
It is, and she knew it's not easy, but she believed that facing those fears, we find deeper peace, acceptance.
Like we're so busy avoiding death, we miss out on really living now.
Exactly, and she suggested that accepting death can actually bring strength, wisdom in later life. You let go of what's not important, focus on what truly matters.
So not denying death, but making it part of how we understand life.
Precisely. And that can be so freeing. You live more authentically, savor each moment, appreciate how precious life is.
What's sticking with me is this idea that transcendence isn't some far-off goal, but something we build every day through our choices, actions.
That's the beauty of it. It's for everyone, no matter your age, background, abilities.
It's shifting how you see things, noticing the little moments, embracing the whole human experience, finding joy in the journey itself.
You got it. And that's a powerful message to leave with our listeners. Aging isn't just decline and loss, it's also growth, transformation, and the possibility of transcendence.
It's embracing life's messiness, beauty, complexity, finding meaning, connection, even as things keep changing.
Exactly. And that's something to celebrate wherever we are in life.
Wow, that was a deep dive for sure. Thanks for joining us as we explore the Erikson's work and this idea of transcendence. We hope you'll keep thinking about these ideas and see what resonates with you.
And remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Share your thoughts, ask questions, keep exploring what it means to be human.